People in the Blueprint community will help you close these leads. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Today, we're breaking down novations again. We've done so much novation stuff on this channel, so if you haven't seen all the novation videos, go back to the channel. But a novation is where you fix and flip a property without ever having to buy it. This does a couple things, but one of the biggest things is it allows you to come up on your number that goes to the seller. So while everybody else is offering the seller $200,000 and they really want to be at 230, this strategy allows you to come up to that 230,000 bucks and get the deal over everybody else trying to get it locked up. Okay, so we did a Zoom for the Blueprint community on this. If you have these leads in your pipeline, people in the Blueprint community will help you close these leads. They're trained, they know exactly what novations are. Go to the free Facebook group in the link below and get in that free Facebook group so you can connect with some of those students and do some deals together. That's what it's all about. We did a whole video on competition the other day. Go back and watch that video too. We don't need to compete. We can just collaborate and do deals together. So if you guys are like, whoa, this novation thing is really good, but I just don't really get it too much and I haven't done one, I just want to squad up with somebody, get in that free Facebook group and do some deals together. But let's break down what novations are. So all novation agreements are fix and flips. Okay, that's all the novation agreement is. Novation agreement is when you pretty much agree to a price with a seller. Let's just say the seller wants 300 grand and you're like, dang, there's no way that works for a cash deal. You know, my buyers aren't going to buy that at $300,000 or anywhere above that. But the numbers are kind of close. So a novation agreement is when you're like, well, hey, why don't I get you the $300,000? Can't get it to you right now in 30 days. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some love into the property and then I'm going to list the property on the market with my realtors. I won't ever buy the house. But once we're done with our work and the realtors, I will get you the $300,000. So essentially, you're fix and flipping a property without ever buying it. So I'll go over a novation agreement really quick. This is my first novation agreement I ever did. That's me. That's our guy, Nick. Nick was like, yo, Mike, I need $300K for my property. And I'm like, heck no. I'm like, there ain't no way. I have to be at like 265 for this property if we're going to do a deal here. The highest my buyers would ever come in at is like 275, if that. Like, there's no way I could do $300,000. It doesn't make any sense. He's like, Mike, dude, I really just want $100,000 out of the property. I owe 200 grand to the bank. I want my $100,000 out. And I'm like, bro, there's just no way. I'm not going to be able to make it happen. You know, we're going to have to buy the property. We're going to have closing costs. We're going to have fees that come in place with our lender. We're going to have this, that, and the other. All the fees that it takes to buy a house, we're going to have to entail. And then we're going to have to resell your house. There's just too many hands in the pot, right? And Nick's like, well, dang, bro, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. And I'm like, I think you should. I think your best bet, Nick, is to just go on the market. To be honest, I think with a little bit of love, your property's worth $375. So I'm obviously not telling him in real time on the appointment that that the ARV is $375. I'm just telling him that the property's worth $375, meaning I'm not using phrases like ARV because it'd be like, ARV, what the heck is that? But I pretty much just told him, I'm like, bro, your property's worth probably about $375 if you do some carpet, paint, cosmetics, and get the tenant out of there, who was his brother. And he's like, Mike, I get it. And I know it'd probably be more beneficial and I would make more money to do that. However, I am moving to Florida in 3 weeks. And I don't really have the time, one, to deal with a realtor. I don't want to go back and forth with them about offers, this, that, and the other. But more importantly, I don't have time for the repairs and I don't have time for my brother, the tenant. If you can find a way to get me $300K and take care of the repairs and take care of the tenant, I'm ready to rock with you. So I'm like, all right, well, what if I can get you the 300 and instead of us closing here in the next like 30 days, we close in about 90. And he's like, yeah, bro, I don't care. As long as you get me my money, I don't care what it takes or how long it takes. Just get me my 100 grand because I'm moving. Once I move to Florida, I'm moving to Haiti in a year. and I want 100 grand as I move to Haiti. And that's what he was so caught up on. And I'm like, all right, bro, well, let's do it. Here's what we're going to do, Nick. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some of the repairs. I'm going to spend probably like $5,000 to $10,000 doing carpet, paint, trash out, all the things. Okay. And I'm also going to give your brother $3,000 to leave. Okay. I'm going to give him this $3,000 where he can go put first, last, and security on a new apartment. And he's like, okay. So I talk to, I forget his brother's name, but I talked to the brother and I'm like, hey, bro, how much money do you need in order to get out of here? He's like, I just need $3,000. I'm like, all right, perfect. So we write up an agreement that just states, if I give you $3,000, you're going to give me the keys to the property. So a few weeks go by after we get the agreement signed, and I give this guy $3,000 and he gives me the keys. Then we go in there and we start doing some carpet, paint, some light cosmetic, and we spend probably about maybe $6,000. So we're now into the deal, $9,000. So we got this thing right here, this 300, we got this locked up in an agreement. So let's just say, before we did all this, let's move this down here a little bit. Before we did this, we had to get this contract in place. This is at 300K. So we got this contract in place and we did a couple other things. I'm going to dig into this. Like I'm going to go into novations in depth and how they get done and all the paperwork that you need and all that type of stuff when we go into the novation series. I'm just going over briefly what a novation is. Okay. So we get this contract in place and then we go ahead and we do the tenant thing and then we do the repairs. Okay. Once we did the repairs, we were ready to list the property. So we listed the property at 375. By the way, this contract is not us buying the house. This contract is simply giving us the right to do all this and this. So this contract just says, hey, you can go in, do the repairs, do the tenant, do the listing thing. You have access to the property. You got all the things that you need and you're secured. And then there's a couple other documents. Like I said, I'll go into that later. But we went ahead and we listed it at 375. Once we listed it at 375, we had an offer at 380. Okay. So we ended up taking this offer at 380. But then what has to happen? We had realtor costs. By the way, I told him, hey, you're going to get your 3,000 when I got this contract. And I'll go into also on the next Zoom when we go over novations. I'll go over how I pitched this and stuff. But I told him this 300 that you're getting is the net number. We're going to take care of all the realtor costs. We're going to take care of the closing fees. We're going to take care of everything for you. And he's like, all right, great. So here's how we end up doing that. We get an offer at 380. So we have realtor fees. Okay. We have closing costs. And on this one, we did have concessions. I don't want to confuse you guys. I'm not even going to bring that in there, but we did have concessions. We actually got an offer at like 390 and the concession was $10,000 at close, but I'm not even going to confuse you guys with that. Just to keep everything simple, I'm going to talk about realtor fees and closing costs. Sometimes you have these things called concessions where people will come in and say, hey, I want a credit at close, or I want you to redo the roof. I need you to paint. I needed you to do this, that, the other, whatever. That's what a concession is. Like right now I have a property that I have on the market and the sellers are getting $10,000 when we close. So that's a concession. That's a credit to the seller that is coming out of our proceeds to close. And they're going to use that to help fix up the property or do whatever. Okay. So realtor fees, closing costs, after all the things, okay, for this particular property, let's just do the math, 380, we're somewhere around like the 350 area. So these things combined, let's just say they cost us, let's say $28,000. So that's what these were. And these things are put on what we call the HUD. So the HUD is a statement, right? Has all these lines on them, all these line items. It has a bunch of numbers on them. Pretty much, it's like the receipt of the transaction. It says, hey, here's who's being paid. The realtor's being paid. The attorney's being paid. This lien's being paid. That lien's being paid. This attorney's being paid. It's everybody who's getting paid on the deal. The seller's getting this amount of money in cash. The buyer's getting this credit. That's the HUD statement. So this comes out at the end of the transaction. It's like the final thing that's signed in the closing docs. So what we have to do to the seller, now I'm kind of getting in the weeds of novations and I didn't want to do this, but I freaking love going over this. But we have to let the attorney know that drafts this HUD statement. We have to let them know, hey, you got to put this $28,000 on the HUD statement. Okay. And we're going to take care of that. So the realtor fees, the closing costs, they come out of this 380. Okay. And then what else comes out of the 380? The seller's proceeds. So we'll call this seller proceeds. Okay. Seller proceeds. What's the seller getting? Technically in this, actually, I'm going to go another step. That's what I'm going to go. Another thing that comes off of it is the mortgage. Okay. So the mortgage in this case was 200 grand. So he still had a mortgage on the property. So now we're all in the deal at 228,000 bucks. But then the seller was getting 100 grand. Okay. To keep it simple, here's the 300. Here's where the 300 comes from. Here's where his number comes from, up here, the 300. Okay. So after this is said and done, we are now at $100,000 plus $200,000 plus $28,000. We're at $328,000. Okay. And fees that go on this HUD statement, right? Whatever is left over is the money that gets sent back to us. Okay. So you do 380 minus this 328, and we end up with 52,000 bucks. So at close on this deal, I think this is literally like the exact number that we got too. We got $52,000. Now, obviously, we had some things that came up too, like our repairs and the tenant money and stuff like that. So that pretty much just paid us back for that. But we just flipped this property without ever having to buy it. Is everybody on the same page here?
Yep.
Now you can do this without having to, I mean, you could do this even if the repairs are 50 grand or 100 grand. You could do this with pretty much anything. So pretty much what a novation agreement is it's almost like, hey, let's just say, Rob has this car here, my beautiful car. Okay, Rob has this car here, and he knows that Mike is the dealer / fixer that fixes cars. Okay. And Rob is like, yo, Mike, I want $5,000 for this car. And Mike's like, dude, there's no way I can get you $5,000 for the car. Rob's like, why? I'm like, dude, this thing needs new wheels. It needs, a new exterior. It needs all the things. And Rob's like, yeah, but Mike, I know that you're the one that fixes houses. And I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I still have all these fees and stuff that I occur when I do these deals. And I say, Rob, why don't I do this? Instead of me buying the car for $5,000 from you, why don't I just bring this car into my shop? I do the repairs myself, 2,000 bucks worth of repairs, right? I'll take care of that. Don't sweat that. I'll put it on my lot. And then once I sell it, I'll give you your 5,000 bucks. And Rob's like, yeah, that's cool with me. I don't care. Once I get my money, I'm good. Like if you take 3 months, it's fine. I don't care. And I'm like, okay, cool. In my mind, I know if I fix this up, I can sell this thing for 10,000 bucks. So I go take the car, put it in my shop, put $2,000 worth of repairs into it. I sell it on my lot at 10,000 bucks and I make 3 grand. That's all a novation agreement is.